Well, hey there, everyone. So we are looking and seeing if I can get this to work. I think there might be a bit of a delay in the audio and the sound and all of that. My friend Eliakim is going to be joining us in a little bit. I think he is trying to log in as we speak. So we're just going to give him some time. And as he is hopefully going to log in, we're going to get just a little bit of an update of how coronavirus is impacting different countries around the world. So my friend Eliakim, hopefully he'll be able to join us and get on in just a little bit as we're trying this out. Um, One of the reasons I wanted to just go ahead and talk about just globally, like how other countries are dealing with that, is just to kind of contextualize, what it's like for us compared to other countries around the world. And so for us in the United States with coronavirus, it looks like we have something like 48,000 deaths from coronavirus. That's the most in the world. And after us is Italy with 25,000 deaths, Spain 22,000. And so it's quite significant. And so we definitely know what it's like to deal with coronavirus here in the United States with 48,000 deaths. But what about in other parts of the world? And so that's what we're going to hopefully talk about, just like what's the practical impact of coronavirus in the third world. So it looks like my friend Eliakim is here, uh, joining us from Kenya. Eliakim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good. So
Can
it
you
looks
hear me?
like we have three students watching so far, and there might be some more to watch in a little bit. Uh, so thank you so much for making some time for us uh, to talk with us in Kenya. I know it's a little bit later. What time is it there in Kenya right now?
It's 24 minutes to 10 at night.
Okay. I know I talked to you last night and it was raining, and with the rain hits on a tin roof, it kind of makes a bit of a loud noise. No rain today?
No rain today. We had a whole day of rain since morning. We had rain throughout the night um, that ended after afternoon this afternoon.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, tell us a little bit about what your part of. Tell us a little bit where in Kenya you live. What is the average? What's it like there for those who have never been there? Maybe just take just a few minutes to describe. Is it a big city? Are there a lot of buildings? What's it like in your community?
Well, yeah, I stay in Mumias. Mumias is about 415 kilometers west of Nairobi. And so Mumias is a small town within Kakamega County. We have an estimated population of about 115,000 people. Um, we have we have a cluster of shops, um, few banks, about 5 or 6 banks, and yeah, we Muslim community is heavy in Mumias compared to the Christian community. We also have other religions like the traditional religions that are practicing in Mumias. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So here in the United States, the coronavirus has changed so many different things. For example, all the schools are closed. I think we've been closed for 4 weeks now, and that means that our students are doing classes online. Just like I film my lessons on YouTube, and they watch them, and they submit those lessons on YouTube. Um, Businesses have been shut down in the United States. A lot of people are out of work.
Mhm.
And just today, they announced in my city that starting on Monday, if we leave the house, we have to have a mask to cover us up. And they announced that actually they're going to fine people $1,000 according to this rule if you leave your
Wow.
house without wearing
Yeah.
a mask. So there's people in the United States that feel two different ways. One, they feel that this is a very dangerous disease. It's different than other diseases in the past. And so we need to do these different things. And other people feel that the social distancing may be important, but what happens when I can't go to work? Who's going to feed my family? So even in our country, with a lot of wealth, there's people who are hurting, and there's a lot of confusion about how to feel about it. For you in Kenya, what has it been like? Are there a lot of cases? What is the requirements for you? What are things you can't do?
Well, currently in Kenya, we are having about 312, 313 cases, confirmed cases of COVID 19. Um, COVID 19, first case was recorded in March, about, I think, 13th of March, which is much later than it was recorded in other parts of the world. However, within the last 1 month, we have seen a dramatic, drastic change on the way people live here, because immediately after the first case was recorded, then the government uh, was a bit slack in making decision on whether to lock down the country or let people move around and hope for the best. We still had many people flying into the country from out, but about a week or two after the first case was recorded, then there was a total lockdown of of transportation uh, into the country, and now we have about 4 or 5 counties whereby people have been told they cannot go out of those countries. They can still go out of their homes into their workplaces, but they cannot go out, and we cannot go into those counties. That's Nairobi, Kilifi, Kwale, Mombasa, and Mandera. Life has been changed. We all have to wear masks when we get out of our homes. Last week, the government announced that it will be a crime chargeable in court if you are found out in public without a face mask. We still have so many people who still walk around without the face masks, because that order from the government comes with a whole lot of challenges. There are no masks in the market, and so everybody is making everything in the name of masks. Some of them are comfortable, some of them are just, you know, anything somebody can make in the name of a mask. But then people are doing whatever they can to just get something to cover their themselves when they are out. And we see that actually the coronavirus exists, like it can be here. There are still people who think it is very far away from them. And so the government is working hard to teach people, to educate people and to sensitize people on the reality of this disease. The, the other challenge people are finding hard is there is a general advice from the government that people should stay at home if they can. And we have a national curfew where you are not allowed to go out of your house after 7 p.m. until 5 a.m. That's a general curfew throughout the whole country. But during the day, people can still go out and do some small whatever they can do, but they are not allowed to form what the government would interpret as a gathering. And that would be anywhere between 5 and 10 people gathered together within less than, a meter from each other. And so the government in Mumias, we have witnessed policemen come in and disperse markets, open air markets where people were gathering to buy and sell. And so we have had policemen come in and lobby tear gas on the crowds and in the marketplaces. If you have been here, you know the kind of market we are talking about. We are talking about having about 3,000 people in a very small open field, less than the size of a football field. And so these have been uh, the challenge to the government because these people need to go out, these people need to sell for them to survive, and these people need to buy for them to live. I would say that about 80% of the population here don't have any refrigerators or such kind of facilities in their homes, and so they buy food on a daily basis. Uh, the government has been caught in between, sympathizing with these people for exposing themselves to the virus and, you know, keeping them at home, and yet they don't have anything to eat. And so there have been that to and fro chasings from the government and the people. Unfortunately, we have had two people die in those kind of commotions. Two people have lost their lives. A few others are nursing injuries that were inflicted supposedly by the policemen who were trying to implement those orders. And so um, it is a kind of unprecedented situation. Um, you are right. People think that if we stay at home, who is going to feed us? The government has come up with a plan to supply food to the most vulnerable people. And by their definition, those are people who are really, really poor and unable to get anything, to afford anything. And so the government is giving them about, I think, 20, $30 a month for them to survive.
Mm.
So, yeah, yeah. So far,
So,
we have not recorded any case in Mumias town or the surrounding places, but we know that the risk is just 1 meter away from us.
right. Well, I
Yes.
know that you guys, this year, you guys went ahead and saw a need to start a school in your community. You shared that a lot of young children in your community would have to go a relative great distance to go to school. They might have to get on a motorcycle to go to school, and there were some safety issues and concerns, and you guys wanted to start a school in your community. And this is something you kind of shared with us when you visited. And I think we were able to partner with you in some small way. And unfortunately, with the school closure, we were not able to continue, raising some funds. But maybe you could just let us know what kind of good? What kind of things were you all able to do with the funds we were able to partner with you? And what happened to the school now? And what are the plans in the future for reopening?
Well, I would admit that not much was planned before this thing happened, before the closure of schools. But actually, yes, we are so grateful, we are so thankful for the support, for the input that you and the Laporte community uh, 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 did towards raising our structure for the school. Um, we had a structure. I believe that you have some pictures of that that we were able to raise up, and the structure is complete. Um, we were able to do flooring, cement flooring, and install some seats, some tables, and get some teachers, two teachers to start with. Yeah. So before the coronavirus lockdown came in, we were about 3 weeks from closure, and so it interfered with our first term. And right now, we do not know when that will end. We do not know when people will be back at school. We do not know what will happen. And we just want to pray and trust God that all this will be uh, done away with in the soonest possible time, so that the children can come back to class. Mhm.
Right. Well, that's good. We're glad that you guys got to get the building done and pour concrete and get some tables and some practical things. Here in the United States, people have worried about the government closing their jobs. They've worried about the disease, but other people have also been thinking about the coronavirus in spiritual ways. I don't know how
Mhm.
your culture has dealt with that. I had someone ask me, is this, they were so concerned about the empty shelves and grocery stores being not having stuff, and people in the United States are kind of even asking spiritual questions, but even our churches are closed. In your culture, how are people looking at this time spiritually? Is that something that people think about? Are the churches closed? How are people responding in that way?
Yeah, churches are closed, and there's some noise coming. I'm not sure where this is coming from. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but there was some background noise that I was getting a very loud noise from
Yes, I'm so
my
sorry.
speakers. I don't. Yes, people have been so worried, and uh, many people asking many questions about the whole thing about Corona. Others are asking, is it the end time? Is this the sign of the return of Christ? Is this Jesus coming back? And
I had a
uh,
visitor.
so that so many people are they want to put some sense in this. It is something that many of us, like my age and a little older, have never seen anything like this in our lifetime. And so when it has happened, it has made so many people to wonder and ask, is this the end times? Is this the, what is spoken of in the Bible? Is God punishing us, or is it, you know, what is it? Is there a God? Is God allowing this to happen and all that thing? Here in Kenya, churches have been closed for about 4 weeks now. We are not allowed to gather as a church. A friend of mine tried to, go around and gather a few people in the church and pray, but unfortunately, he was arrested and he is battling a case in court for that. So it is illegal to have church gatherings right now in Kenya. However, the government just today there was a court ruling that uh, in a case whereby two pastors sued the order to lock down churches, and they received a court order today allowing minimal number of people in the church, like the pastor and a few leaders who can facilitate uh, an online transmission of services or something like that. So we have a small window where we can come in and worship. They are giving a number of 15 people per service and sitting at least 2 meters apart with hand sanitizers and face masks on and all that kind of regulation. But yes, people want to connect this with the spiritual, with this, whatever is they're thinking could be causing this. However, you know, this is my personal opinion. This may be a biological thing, this may be just a virus that has come up, but also many people here find it hard to understand why the government would allow um, people to go on and run supermarkets, run businesses whereby people find themselves in a small area, um, um, a crowd of people, 20, 30 people together for some kind of reason, like in a supermarket. But the government would arrest any five people who would meet in a church. And so some people are finding it uh, perplexing uh,
Yeah.
to understand why. Uh, for example, a friend of mine was giving me this example and said in a public transport van, like a small van that is licensed to carry 16 people, they are only allowed to carry 8 people. And so that's 50% of the seating capacity of that vehicle. And we talk about a small, maybe 4 meters by 1.5 meters wide car
Right. It's very small.
hosting 8 people. But in the church, like our church is about 80 feet by about 35 feet wide, we are not allowed to host 10 people.
Right.
So people are finding it hard to understand why. And so we have had some people who've gone out, some church leaders, religious leaders who have gone out and sought audience with the government officials to try and reach out an understanding of what this is.
Yeah, there's been similar pattern in the United States. There's some churches have even told people if you have a car, drive to the church and stay in your car, and we'll set up microphones and speakers, and so you can stay in your car. But one part of the United States where that was happening, the government actually gave them tickets for coming, like they gave them a fine, and the people were saying, well, how can I get a fine for being in my car? If you go to the market that are open for food, I'm right next to people a lot more. So definitely a lot of people are frustrated and trying to figure those things out. You know, uh, we only have about 5 more minutes left, but one of the things want to make sure there's 8 people watching now. But if there's any questions students have, they could type it in for our last 5 or 6, 7 minutes or so, and we'll definitely give Eliakim an opportunity to answer that. You know, as we're giving them opportunity if they have any questions. One of the challenges that our students have had is there's some that this is their final year to be in secondary school. They're going to graduate, and they actually announce that they're canceling the graduation ceremony because if we have 500 students graduating and they have their family members, this is thousands of people gathering, and so there was been a lot of sadness in not having this event that would be what they've been working for their whole lives. Some of our students, this is not how they saw their last year of school going, and so there's a lot of frustration and sadness and understanding that yes, there's a pandemic and it's been hard for some of our students. So I wouldn't know what that would be like. I have a daughter. She's only ninth grade. American high school goes to 12, so she is impacted. She's now home doing her classes online, but for those students that would be finishing up, it's been a challenge for them. And I guess if there's no questions, I'm not really seeing any questions. I was wondering maybe if you would be okay just praying for the community of LaPorte. I think that a lot of people would just even appreciate knowing that even someone on the other side of the world is thinking about, even us here in the United States. A lot of times we sometimes have the perception that Americans have no problems or things. We have all the money for all the problems in the world, but a lot of people I've talked to, they are hurting. There's confused, there's people are scared, and I was wondering if we just close our time, if you wouldn't mind just praying for the community of LaPorte for these kids at the high school, a blessing for them.
Okay, sure. There is a lot that is making people worried, and that's just one of them. We also have a problem. We cannot have social gatherings like weddings, funerals. Just yesterday, there was a burial ceremony of one of the very prominent scholars of this country, and he's an author of a few books, and he he was buried by a very few number of people, which would be very awkward in a normal circumstance. So I've also been told about uh, um, a wedding ceremony that only had a few people, and the bride and the groom were joined online. So these are challenging times, really challenging times. But hey, one thing that I would like to say before I pray is that you know, with man it may not be possible to understand, but with God everything is possible. Because this thing may surprise us, but it doesn't surprise God. And so, as people who have faith in God, as people who believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, we have faith that He has this in control. It may look like it's spiraling out of control, but it is well within His control. One word I would like to share is in Philippians chapter 4 and verse 6. The Bible says in Philippians 4 verse 6, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And so the Bible says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, even in this corona thing, in everything, let us uh, lift up our eyes to the one who is able to save us, to the one who is able to figure out what man cannot figure out, to the one who has all power in his hands. And so I just want to encourage anyone who may be out there listening and anyone who will listen to this later, uh, just know that we shouldn't be anxious for anything, but in prayer, supplication, we should present our requests unto God. Let me pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you, Lord, even through this technology that you have provided. Father, Lord, I lift up the whole community of
Well, I think we may have lost Eliakim on the audio there. But I do think it's impressive that we were able to have a talk with someone in rural Kenya for such a long time. Um, Definitely appreciate him spending some time. I think I've lost his audio, but he just did want to conclude going ahead and just praying for the community of LaPorte. I think that's such a cool thing that he wanted to do that and to join us that way. I actually did lose his signal. And so just to let you guys know that even there's people around the world who are thinking about us and our situation and who care. I hope you guys have a wonderful, safe Thursday. I hope things go well for you, and I look forward to seeing you guys and hopefully connecting you to hear from other people's stories around the world. So, talk to you guys later. Thank you all so much. Bye.